video effects can be applied to a lot of softwares like Adobe Premiere or Sony Vegas or iMovie or Windows Movie Maker. Exactly. If you're a YouTuber, if you're an aspiring YouTuber, even if you don't want to be a YouTuber, even in general, knowing how to edit and create videos is a really important skill. And a big part of that is trying to make that video have that wow factor that I was talking about, right?
First off, so in the transitions tab, the way they do it in iMovie, at least, different software behaves differently. But in here, you can kind of mouse over these squares to kind of see examples of the transitions. So, you know, you've got your classic cross dissolve, which is your classic just like fade from one scene to the other. So, you know, you might use a cross dissolve to effectively say later that day, whereas fade to black might mean in a sense of saying like next week or something like that. Could even be, you know, a few years later. So let's drop a cross dissolve in between our first two scenes. So we would just click it and drag it down and plop it right there. And then I can play this and you could see we get a nice little fade over to the next scene. They kind of divide color correction into two different tabs in iMovie. Other software might do it different, but you can see it kind of, the original footage had kind of a blue hue to it. And when I hit auto, it kind of got rid of that. So now it's kind of more of natural lighting. But then you also have these tools for color correction, which are some kind of scales and meters that let you do different things. This first one is exposure, which is basically brightness. It lets you brighten and darken parts of the image. The notches are for different levels of shadows. So this represents the brightest scenes in the video. This represents the darkest. This represents like the midtones, and then something in between, the dark tones and the midtones, and the light tones and the midtones. So what I could do, I could crush the blacks, which means you take that all the way down, which looks terrible. You don't actually want to do that. But say your footage was too dark, you would just pull this up to kind of brighten it. If it was too bright or blown out, you could do the same here, or you could brighten that stuff. And likewise, if like, you know, you want to tweak individual parts, like, okay, I'm going to move the midtones brighter, but this stuff darker, maybe to add some more contrast. You can see that kind of maybe deepens the shadows, but brightens up some of the other stuff. So, you know, if I slide it all the way down, we effectively have black and white video now because we've stripped all the color out. If I crank it all the way up, we get this almost like super bright and colorful look to it, which could be a look you're going for, but for right now is a little too much. And then this is the hue, so we could slide it to more blue or more cool or more warm. You know, if we slide it all the way this way, we get almost a blue image. So this is some cell phone footage of some fireworks going off. But in the beginning in particular, you see this person really got shaky with their camera. What we can do is apply the stabilizer to it. We'll say stabilize shaky video, and we'll crank that up. We'll say, let's stabilize it by 50%. And so what you'll see is that it actually zooms in the picture because that gives the computer more room to kind of move stuff around to offset that shakiness. And it's not perfect, but you'll see we're keeping our fireworks a little more centered than we were before. We'll just show how to do some text graphics that you can build right into your video. So actually, I like that one. So let's use that one for our example here. So you would just move this works this way in all video editors. You would always put your text above the video you want it to appear over. And, you know, I'm going to stretch this out so it matches that whole clip. And then you can just like write on this like it's, you know, Microsoft Word or something. You know, this is a cool shot with clouds. We almost have like a travel video vibe going. So I'm going to just write fly anywhere. And I'm going to change the font maybe to something I like. You know, let's do Futura Medium. That looks nice. Do we have options for font size? I'm going to leave it at auto because I think that looks good. I could align it a certain way, but I think I'll keep it centered. And then I can change the color. So, you know, I think maybe something about, you know, blue sky. So maybe let's make this kind of blue and hit the check mark. And so now, and this already has like a fade in, a transition kind of built on it. So we'll start back in this clip and play. And see, so it's fly anywhere right over our footage and then fades out.